$2,000 fourth stimulus check specifically focused on Social Security, including retirement, disability, SSDI, survivors, SSI, VA, RRB, low income, no income, seniors, older adults, and of course, people with disabilities with executive order. I have all the details and exactly what you need to know right here in the video, so let's get right into it. I know in this video, we're specifically talking about a $2,000 fourth stimulus check, highly focused on the fixed income beneficiaries I mentioned at the beginning of this video, and if this can be done with executive order. Again, great question and what I want to focus on for you here in the video. Let's get right into it. Really fast before we do, thanks so much for joining me. If you're new here or if you haven't done so yet, please make sure to subscribe right down below the video. It's totally free to do so, and I'm here for you right by your side every single day to help you out in any way that I possibly can, as well as keeping you informed of all of these changes. As we all know, things are very weird right now. Things are happening very fast, and we're getting a lot of new bills, packages, proposals, announcements out of lawmakers, announcements out of the administration. A lot of things are changing. Either way, I'll keep you posted, and of course, I'll be here for you right by your side every single day as your one and only daily advocate, as I have been for several years now. So please make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, and let's get into it and talk about a highly focused $2,000 fourth stimulus check on the fixed income beneficiaries I mentioned at the beginning of this video, and can all of this be done through executive order? Now, this is a great question. I recently had a couple people here in the community reach out and ask this based on a couple other videos that I've had out recently where I've indicated some things that can and cannot be done through executive order, therefore spurring the questions out of those of you here in the community wondering, wow, well, can this be done through executive order as well? Great questions. Now, here's the thing I want to point out. A lot of things cannot be done through executive order, like changing Social Security, raising Social Security benefits, increasing benefits, reforming Social Security program or anything like that cannot be done through executive order. That must be done through the congressional process, as in going through Congress, wasting a bunch of time, debating about it, amending the bill, and all kinds of things, voting over and over, and then eventually maybe it comes out the other side as a passed bill through Congress, or maybe it just fails and then they throw it right in the burn pile, right? We've talked about that many times before, right? So that is kind of one of the situations with some of this piece of legislation that have to go through the congressional process. However, when it comes down to a highly focused check for fixed income beneficiaries, this is technically something a little bit different. This is not reforming fixed income benefits. This is not reforming Social Security. This is not raising Social Security or SSDI or retirement, survivors, SSI, VA benefits. It is not raising the benefits, but rather this would be something completely separate. In the event of that, then yes, this is actually something that could be done through executive order if they just so decided to do so. So there's a fine line there. You can see the difference, right? Even though this would sound like a highly focused payment or check or something like that for fixed income beneficiaries, it may sound like, but wait, isn't that reforming Social Security? No, two totally different things. Stimulus checks and raises to benefits or reforming Social Security, very, very different things, okay? I've talked about that before in other videos, and we've discussed it in great detail over the last couple of years, as the details of a Social Security raise and stimulus checks simultaneously is something that could happen, okay? I'm not here to say that it will or that it won't. I'm just simply saying it is something that could happen. However, the main differences are stimulus checks is basically just like federal spending out of the general fund and tax revenues, whereas Social Security, it's funding out of Social Security payroll taxes and the Social Security Trust Fund, things like that. Totally different, right? So anyway, long story short is, can something like this be done through executive order? Yes, 100% it could be done, okay? A highly focused check could be done with executive order. Now, I want to talk through that a little bit further here so that there's no misleading information and so that nobody is misled on this whole topic, okay? When it comes down to it, just because the privileges are there, just because somebody has the ability to do something, doesn't mean that they always should, right? Now, let me give you a quick example. I have the ability to stand up and do a backflip right now. I have the ability to do that. Should I do that? No, I should not do that, okay? I should not do that, I'm just telling you, okay? Just because I have the ability to stand up and do a backflip and probably fall and hurt myself, just because I have the ability to do it does not mean that I should do it, okay? I could practice, I could really get really good at it, but getting an executive order through does not really take any practice. It literally has the ability of somebody writing up the language on paper, and then the president slapping a signature on it. That does not take that much effort or ability, right? So my point is, just because the ability and just because the prospect, just because it is an option that can be exercised, just like the backflip example that I gave you, just because I have that ability, just because I could possibly do that, if I just so wanted to do so, doesn't mean that I should always do it. You know what I mean? If I wanted to do that, I would probably go through professional counsel or talk to somebody that can do it, somebody that, maybe is a little bit more acrobatic or something. I don't know what the word would be. Somebody that maybe has done that a lot and maybe teach me what are the techniques of how to do this properly, right? So the same thing kind of goes with this, whole analogy that I'm giving you here with a $2,000 stimulus check with executive order. So essentially, if this is something that was very important to the president, he would probably reach out to Congress and people within his party and suggest, hey, I want a $2,000 check. What do you think? Should we get it done through Congress? What do you say here? And Congress will come together on the best approach to get this going forward and to write up the legislation and get it through the congressional process, okay? So just because it can be done through executive order does not mean that it's always the best approach. In, kind of the rule of thumb would be, in most situations, the best approach for any piece of legislation, regardless of what it is, should be done through the normal traditional way, which is writing it up, moving it through Congress, passing it through the House, passing it through the Senate, debating it, amending it, voting on it, all the details like that, and then bringing it to the president to sign it or whip out his veto stamp and say, veto everybody. You know what I mean? So that's the whole traditional process that we all know about, that's been in place for a very long time. That is traditionally the best way to get stuff done. However, in some instances, when the president knows for sure something will not pass through Congress, then he just comes forward and says, I'm just going to executive order this, just get it over with, and then, it's done. I don't have to worry about anything with that. So when the ability comes up, and that is something that, doesn't necessarily want to pass through Congress, and it's a very important priority of the president or the administration or, other people that are pulling the puppet strings in the back end, again, that's not any slam on anybody in particular. I'm just saying they all do it, right? Let's just be real, okay? So anyway, we all know that all these people are highly influenced, right? So that's what it comes down to, okay? So I hope that kind of makes sense when it comes down to executive order, if this is something that could be done with this process. Yes, and again, remember, stimulus checks are not raises. Even if it was a highly focused check just for fixed income beneficiaries, it could be done, through executive order. But again, just because it's a highly focused check, it does not necessarily mean that it has anything to do with raising benefits. It just means that we're going to dedicate checks to this one group of people. Kind of makes sense, right? So anyway, by the way, I've seen other comments down below over the last few months here where some people have come out and said they're never going to do a highly focused check. Well, let me give you a quick example really fast here. In May of 2009, they did send out a highly focused check to fixed income beneficiaries. It's a real thing. Look it up if you'd like to. May 2009, it happened, okay? So during that time, there was an economic contraction, a major recession that we were going through. They sent out $600 checks a few months prior to that to virtually everybody based on income and tax returns and stuff like that. But then they also sent out a highly focused check of $250 in May 2009 for fixed income beneficiaries, okay? So they've done it before. There's no reason they couldn't do it again. And remember, $250 back in May of 2009 is very, very different than what $250 is today. $250 then was probably the equivalent of $500, $600, $650, something like that. It had much more value then. $250 today, honestly, would be an insult. We'll gladly take it. Don't get me wrong. Congress will take it. Just send it over. We'll take it. But at the end of the day, it's still very, very different, okay? $250 today is like not much, right? It's very different. Inflation. Our good old friend inflation. That's why. Anyway, hope you're having a nice day. Hope this answers the questions for you. Please subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Also, leave your comments, your questions, your feedback down below. Let me know. If you want me to elaborate on something further, of course, I can absolutely do that for you. Otherwise, enjoy your day. Share the video. Like the video. Go back and check out some of the other videos here on the channel. Subscribe to the channel. Whatever else you want to do. Leave a comment. Enjoy your day. Have a good one. Hope this answers the questions for you. And catch you again later in the next video.